My name's Kristin. I was originally from Houston and now I live in Austin.
Okay.
I went to UT. Should I start from how I found the camp originally?
However you want to start.
Okay. About 5 years ago, I was doing an online search of how I could volunteer in the community, and I found this camp, and I always thought it was very intriguing. I remember telling my mom about it, and she thought it sounded like a really cool volunteer opportunity, but that I had never really experienced a loss up until that point, so she didn't know if I'd really be able to help anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So then about 2.5 years ago, I lost my mom. And then I came across Camp Agape still saved on my favorites tab on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew there was nothing that would stop me from volunteering. So then I came here, I guess 3 years ago now at this point, and have come back every year since.
So you just randomly found this on a website 2 years before your mother died.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's by chance that happened?
Absolutely not. It has to be due to fate that I would have found this camp and then had it saved on my favorites tab.
Do you think God was preparing you for this?
Absolutely. There were many things that happened right before I lost my mom that it was definitely Him preparing me for what was coming.
So, when your mother died, how old was she?
She was 46.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so you were how old at the time?
I was 1 month shy of 21, so I was 20 years old.
And what did she die from?
She died unexpectedly from, it ended up being a heart attack. So it came as a complete shock to everybody.
How did that hit you when that happened?
I know people say things will hit you like a ton of bricks. That couldn't be any more true. Mm-hmm. I was on the studying for some tests. I had 5 tests that week in college, and I had a test the next morning, and I got the phone call, a series of phone calls that night, and I was just in shock. I just kept saying, "Are you kidding? This can't be real. This has got to be a joke." So it's not very shocking, I would say.
So you were older than most kids that come through here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been coming here how long?
This is my 3rd year.
So being 21, how do you think your adjustment to your mom's death is different than what you see the kids go through?
I know that I try to appreciate at, I guess, maturity level. I know that I was fortunate enough to have my mom for as long as I have had her. So I was lucky enough to have her as a best friend and mother for 20 years. So I try to keep that in mind. But just like them, they're not going to, their mom or their dad's not going to be able to go to their high school graduation. My mom wasn't able to go to my college graduation. So no matter what age you are, it'll still come as a shock. So you just kind of have to readjust and refocus.
If you would have came to volunteer those first 2 years before your mother died, do you think you would have been prepared for this?
Not in the same way. I had lost a really close friend to a rare disease, but I wouldn't have been able to identify as much, I don't think. Until it's an immediate family member, I wouldn't have been able to relate as much to them, I don't think. So I think after losing my mom, that's when I knew this is something that I'd be good at. I feel like I can relate to them.
And so in the 3 years, how many times have you been assigned a child who lost their mother?
Let's see. Last year I had somebody who lost their mom, and the other 2 years it's been dads.
And so how were you able to relate to that little girl?
Was the mom?
Now with the little girl,
Well, I just try to find a common ground with her. And just whenever she would say things that she wished she could have done with her mom or did like doing with her mom, I just kind of would try to act as a mentor and always told her that she could call me if she ever needed anything.
did you share your story with her?
I did.
What did she say about that?
She was younger, so she didn't understand it as much, but you know, I don't know.
Did you understand what she was going through?
I always make it a point to tell people that their loss is different than my loss is different than their loss. I'm never going to know exactly how they feel, but I can identify with them. I may understand some of the emotions they're going through more than some of their peers. So although I don't know exactly what they're feeling at that moment, I've probably been through it myself.
Do you think it's harder on a child to lose a mother than it is for somebody that's 21?
No, I think that as a child, you rely a lot more on your mom or your dad. And I think when you're older, you can kind of, let's see what I'm trying to say here. Death is a little bit more black and white at that point, I think. You can't, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What did you ask again?
Do you think it's harder being a child to deal with the death than it is for somebody that's 21?
I think for me, it wasn't because I still relied heavily on my mom. I would call her constantly, kind of lacked independence at that point. So I'd call her to make decisions. I think that no, I think death is hard for anybody at any age because it usually just, you're not prepared for it.
There's going to be people that are going to watch this video, and it's going to be kids of all ages. It's going to be a boy, a girl, a spouse. If they're watching this video and they're looking at you and they're thinking, should I come to Camp Agape? Should I take my child to Camp Agape? What would you tell them?
Do it. This camp, when I first did it 3 years ago, I thought that I would be more so helping the person, the child that I was paired with. But I grew more in that experience than they may have even. They taught me and allowed me to grow strength and just grow as a person just as much as I think they grew. I think it's an amazing experience for anybody to bring their child to or volunteer at. This is it's my favorite weekend of the year, and you know, it's emotionally, physically just exhausting, but in a great way. It's the best weekend that I feel blessed to be a part of.
So what about being a volunteer? Do you think it's a good idea to be a volunteer if you've lost a parent or a brother or sister to come and help out with the kids?
I think it's great to help in any way you can. So if you've lost a parent, or maybe you haven't lost anybody, but you just feel like you can be of help, be a good listener. Listening is all people really need. Feeling like somebody cares and has compassion for them. And I think that just showing empathy.
So you come back next year?
Oh yeah. You can't keep me away.